So those are the claims on the foundation. So now I'm gonna, Hey guys, welcome back. So got a review and demo video for y'all today on this foundation. This is the Covergirl TruBlend Matte Made Foundation. So we are going to talk about the claims on this foundation. I will show you a little demo and how I like to apply it. Then we will revisit those claims and I'll go over what do I think about them, does it deliver on them, and just my overall thoughts and opinions on what I'm thinking about this foundation. So yeah. Let's get to it. So one of the huge benefits of this foundation is that it comes in a ton of different shade options. There are 40 different shade options in this foundation, which is awesome. So CoverGirl was so sweet and sent me a huge box with all the different shades in there. And it was just really cool to see like so many different options. I thought that was really neat. And then in that box, there was a really pretty pamphlet with some information about this foundation. So I'm just gonna read through it because this is gonna give us some of the claims and some more information about what they're saying this foundation does. So it says, CoverGirl set out to create a foundation that works for all skin types. So we listened to you and were inspired to create TruBlend Matte Made. Inclusive of all skin needs, TruBlend Matte Made minimizes pores, controls shine, feels comfortable on your skin, and stays put for up to 12 hours. 40 shades of foundation designed with you in mind. Easy navigation with 4 shade ranges numbered from light to deep. Light is L, medium is M, tan is T, deep is D. It says warm, cool, and neutral undertone callouts to help you find your perfect match. And then it also says oil-free, so you don't get shiny living your life. Transfer resistant, aka won't rub off on your favorite white tee. Pore minimizing for smooth and even selfie-ready skin. All-day comfort wear, so you can put it on and not worry about your skin feeling cakey or dry. So those are the claims on the foundation. So now I'm gonna now we're gonna get into a demo on how I like to apply it and how I do that and what it looks like as you apply it and once it's on your skin. So let's get to that. Okay, so I've already applied some moisturizer and also a primer. I applied a primer just because I pretty much wear a primer all the time now, more so for the skincare and anti-aging benefits than like the longevity. I really use it more just to get the added good stuff for my skin. So I already did that. So I'm gonna use L40. I can kind of go in between L40 and L60, but L40 is really a better match for me, I think. This one's just a little bit light and I think a little bit too pinky toned. This one is kind of more neutral, slightly goldeny, which I'm kind of pretty much neutral. So I'm going to use a brush on one side and then a beauty blender on the other. I've been using it with a brush because I prefer a brush. I just use a brush all the time. I'm actually going to use the brush on this side. I just pretty much prefer a brush, but I have heard that possibly some weird things can happen when you use a sponge with it. So I'm going to use a sponge on the other side just to see what it does. So this does have a scent to it. Not like it's scented. I think it's just the ingredients in it. It smells a little bit alcohol-y. Not a bad smell, actually. I kind of like the smell. It's sort of, I don't know, fresh and clean, like in a medicinal way, but it doesn't, that sounds so weird. It's not like it smells like herbs or bleach or something like that. It just has that kind of fresh, slightly alcohol-y sort of a scent. Okay, so there it is with a brush on that side. So you can see just, I mean, the difference in how my skin looks. It's kind of a really good example of, you can see the coverage and what it looks like on my skin. So really evens everything out, looks so pretty. So I'm just using a beauty blender. Let me take off my cuff so we don't have to listen to this noise. I just really don't use a beauty blender very much. I don't know why, I've just never gotten in the habit of using a beauty blender or any kind of a sponge. I think they look pretty. I think they're nice, but I just prefer a brush. I'm just faster at it and I don't have dry skin. So I think if I had dry skin, I would definitely prefer a sponge. So I did it without even saying, but I added a little bit more with the sponge because obviously this is giving a slightly more sheer application. I wouldn't call it sheer, but it's more sheer than a brush just because it's, you know, a damp sponge. So it's gonna, It's going to kind of diffuse it a little bit. Okay, so I had heard that with a sponge, you can kind of see little white dots on your skin. I don't see it up in here, but I actually do see a couple right here and a few down here. So I'm not sure what's happening there. I had never ever noticed that or experienced that because I always use a brush. So I'm not sure what that is and what is happening there, but I mean, I had to come in really close to notice it. So if you do use a sponge, just know that that's a possibility that that could happen. But with a brush, I don't notice anything like that. Like, I think it looks so pretty with a brush. I think it's just really skin-like and evens everything out and has this really beautiful kind of satiny sort of finish on the skin. I love the way it looks. So this isn't as much of a factor for me, like these little, whatever those little white dots are, just because I use a brush. But I did want to try that just to see if it would do it for me, just for those people that do use a beauty blender or a sponge of some kind. So possibility that that could happen. I'm not sure what's happening there. So I would recommend a brush. I think it looks beautiful with a brush. So I'm just going to go ahead and even out this side with a little bit more over here and just kind of buff it in. This foundation is also really easy to blend on the skin. It doesn't sit on top. It really just kind of melds into your skin and gives really beautiful coverage without looking cakey or heavy. I'm sure if you kept applying it, it could get to that point, but just with a quick application and even a second coat, it's just beautiful. Like, it evens everything out, gives, I would say, medium to full coverage. I think you can really build it up to get a very good medium coverage, almost to full, and I think it just looks gorgeous on the skin. Clearly, I absolutely love it. So I'm gonna finish up the rest of my makeup and I'll be back with some more thoughts. Okay, so let's revisit those claims and chat about them. So first off, it says minimizes pores. So let me get a mirror so I can get up here real close and investigate. I would say yes on that. I definitely think it, because I would say it smooths everything. You know, when I'm applying a foundation, I really don't always notice if it's minimizing pores, but I will notice if it's settling into pores and if it's just kind of sitting on top of the skin. This foundation definitely does not do that. It really does kind of meld into the skin and smooth everything. So it looks very smooth and beautiful on the skin. So I would say yes to minimizes pores. Controls shine, absolutely. The wear time on this foundation is so good. It stays beautiful on the skin. I would revisit that other one that said you put it on and not worry about your skin feeling cakey or dry. Yes, I think it really is that perfect combo. You know, I'm really to the point where I typically don't love matte foundations at this point. I really like more satin, not super glowy, but just not that dry matte sort of a foundation. And this is not one of those dry matte foundations. It's really just a beautiful foundation that helps control shine. So I would absolutely agree with that claim. I think it looks beautiful on the skin. I think it wears very well. Does not feel dry. It's not to that point. It's not that kind of a matte foundation. It's just an oil controlling, really beautiful foundation. If you're super dry, I think you're gonna have to do some prepping, some other primers that are more hydrating, because it is still a matte foundation, but it's one that is not on the dry side. So I really love it for that reason. It says feels comfortable on your skin and stays put for up to 12 hours. Yes, I mean, I wouldn't say 12 hours, but very long wearing, stays put, doesn't move everywhere, just stays really, really beautiful on the skin. Shade range, obviously, yes, they totally are getting that. That's amazing. Oil free, so that's really nice. Transfer resistant, I don't know about that because I always apply a powder and other things. So, I mean, I'll get foundation on my clothes, you know, like if I take this shirt off and I rub it against my face, something's gonna come off, but I can't 100% say if it's the foundation or my powder or whatever, but you know, I don't really know. I can't really speak to that claim because I always wear other things with my foundation. I don't just put foundation and not set it. So not 100% sure about that, but I would say don't go sliding your shirt across your face. Pore minimizing, we already chatted about that. All day wear, we already chatted about that. Have we hit all the claims? Yes. So those are all the claims. So I would say it delivers on everything it is saying in that pamphlet. What do I think about this foundation overall? I love it. I am so impressed with it. This is one of my new favorite foundations at the drugstore. I think it looks beautiful on the skin. I think it's that perfect balance of not too dry, but also really nice and long wearing. So a great matte formula. Just looks beautiful, easy to apply, stays really beautiful on the skin, tons of shade options. So really the only thing that I can say negative about it is whatever kind of happened with the Beauty Blender. So you can let me know if you kind of experienced that same thing. Like I said, until today, I had only used it with a brush because I like using it with a brush and I'm just a brush gal. So I like to use it with a brush. So you'll have to let me know your experience with a sponge. But other than that, everything else I think is amazing about this foundation and I would highly, highly recommend it. All right guys, so that wraps up this review and demo. So I hope that you really enjoyed it and I hope it was helpful for you. Please do a thumbs up if it was. Let me know down below what you think about this foundation if you've tried it out. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions. Ask me any questions that you have. I'm happy to answer those. Please subscribe to my channel if you're not already and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!